Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. We're going to make this easy DIY country trait using just Dollar Tree products, not including the mason jars. It's made with foam board or foam core or ready board as it's called at the Dollar Tree. You need pencils, you need a ruler with a straight edge and or a tape measure, but you need something to cut against with this razor, and a glue gun with glue sticks, contact paper in pine or antique birch, whichever look you're going for. These touch-up markers from the hardware section. This journal notebook with the leatherette cover. This 3-pack of jute twine or any jute twine. This pack from the hardware store of picture hanging material. It has the tiny nails in it, and that's what we need. So first you're going to measure our board, which this board measures just under 30 inches. Always check the measurement of it because not every board is the same, as I found out. We're going to mark 5-inch increments, and then the last piece will be left over, will be for the bottom. We don't need exactly 5 inches, so we don't have to worry about exactly what it is. But you want to make sure you cut from this, measure from the same end. And then you're going to connect your dots, just like they taught you in elementary school. Use your straight edge to connect your dots. I like to draw lines first instead of going straight to the razor in case my ruler tends to jump or move. So that's what I'm doing here. Okay. And I'm just marking the bottom as the bottom, and that one's for the sides. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to cut this in half. Not in half, excuse me. We're going to cut the 4 sections in half into 2 sections. You'll see what I'm saying. So we cut on the second line, and then we're going to cut on the 4th line. And then I'm showing you here, the razor is getting a little dull, so I'm just using the end piece that they make to snap off the next blade. I'm just showing you guys because I'm not sure everybody knows about it. If you get a straight edge cutter or a razor cutter with the little markings on it, that's so you could snap a new sharp piece, okay? And they usually have the piece on the handle is what you use to cut it. So now I'm cutting on the 4th line, okay? And then I'm just cutting, separating the sides from the bottom. I am trying to cut on my mat, but be careful if I don't cut up on my table. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking Elaine's tacky glue from the Dollar Tree, which I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you that you need. And I'm gluing the 2 pieces together just to get an even cut. I am making the razor extra long, but I didn't put glue along the cut edge. I just put it along the 2 sections that will marry. And basically what we're doing is we're making double walls, basically with double thickening our walls. And the glue will not only help keep the walls together, but it also strengthen it. Okay, so here I am cutting the pieces of the sides. I keep saying I wanted to say bottom, I don't know why. But the same thing, we're going to do 5-inch measurements, and this piece is 20 inches wide, so you're going to get exactly 4 measurements out of it. And then I'm doing the same thing. I'm cutting it in half and gluing both sections, sandwiching them. What I like to do with white glue is, if you saw me wiggle it there for a second, you just basically put it on, you wiggle it back and forth until it starts to get really stuck together, and then it'll hold really nicely on you. And then I'm cutting the 2 sides in half. So I basically have 2 5x5 sides along with my 20 by 5 long sides. And now I'm measuring the contact paper. If you put 2 squares, or minimum of 1.5 squares is actually what it is. Each one of those squares, I believe, is a 1/2 inch. So it's about 3/4 of an inch on each side. And then I'm going to fold over the contact paper so I can basically double it. And then I'm going to cut that length. And this width of contact paper, this one piece that we're cutting, will give us enough to cover both long sides and the bottom. Here I'm just rolling it reverse back on itself so it stops curling on me so much. That's just a quick tip. If you guys have never dealt with wallpaper or contact paper before, it's just so much easier. So now I'm just marking the corners to make sure I have enough. I'm cutting the length that I need, which again is about, it's roughly about 7 inches or 6.5 inches. Now, I think 6.5 inches was right because it's 6.5 inches twice. That's 13 inches, and then there's 5 inches left over for the bottom. So just double checking that I have both pieces the same. And then I'm rolling them against, again, in reverse, and I'm actually tucking them in just some place to hold them. I tuck them in an empty tissue, well, not an empty tissue box, but an almost empty tissue box, just to keep them rolled, to keep their shape going backwards. Okay, and then I'm going to cut the pieces out for the sides, and I'm going to do the same thing. Again, I want the grain to go long ways, so I'm keeping that in mind with the top. The only thing that I can suggest of why I picked the top to be the top of the foam after I've cut it is I basically, if they didn't line up on the bottoms, they line up on the cut side. So that's the cut side is the part that I use for the top. And there's a little serrated edge from the factory. I'm just cutting that off because we're going to be overlaying this and I didn't want that to show. So those of you who have never done contact paper before, it is probably the simplest arts and crafts to do. All right, maybe I'm exaggerating, but it is like wrapping a present. And this contact paper, this magic cover contact paper, is so forgiving that it's so easily repositionable. Here I am showing you up close. So what we're going to do is you're going to dry fit your measurements. We peel back one corner and then we line up our markings on our on the graph paper that they give you. And then once you have one corner down, you flip it over, you start rubbing, and then you really score along the edges with your fingers. More finger pressing like that. And then you just flip it over and pull the paper out as you go. Now this particular piece needed to be cut extra, but that's fine. I just cut it at the end, and then you just smooth it with your hand. There's always chances to take out bubbles. This is a very forgiving paper, as I said. The bubbles come out very easily. And now what I'm doing is I'm snipping the corners. Basically, I'm putting the scissor in the corner of all four corners of each end. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the short corners, there you go, like that. And we're cutting off the one long edge on the back. And you'll see the back because that's where you fold it over. You have a piece left over. And then we're going to tuck in the two sides and then fold over the long piece. Sorry, it's a little off camera, but it'll be there in a second. You see. Okay, let's do it again. Fold in the two sides and then fold up from the bottom. And you pull the paper as you go. Sorry, I'm holding it against my body to make sure I get a nice clean edge. So here you go again. You fold in and then you fold over, crease it with your fingers, and there you go. Here's one of those little tricks and tips. God is in the details. I'm taking this mechanical pencil with no lead and I am scoring along the wood grain. So there you go. Wait, let's see it. Okay, so you can see it here. Because the foam core will actually keep that grain in its indent basically, it just gives that little touch. What do they say? God is in the details, right? I'm using the straight edge because this particular pine board has actually got the board seams between it too. So I'm just going to repeat that for the two long edges. You know, so just lay it down on the long side. Make sure you know which side you want to show. Start with the short edge that's going to fold over in the beginning. Line back up again. Fold over the short edge. Flip it over. Press it out. Press it out. Fold it back over. As you're pulling the paper, you're just going to press it out. And here I am. I noticed it wasn't lined up properly. So I'm trying to fix it. And it fixes very easily. And again, that's not even the most important thing. That's just my perfectionist in me. I thought it would be a good idea to use the straight edge to cut away this backside how we did before with the scissor, but it wasn't. I ended up cutting into the foam core, so don't do that. Just use the scissor to cut away the long piece from the backside of the board, okay? Like that. There you go. And then you do the same as you did for the shorties. You put in the short ends and then fold over and just adjust as you go. You don't, I mean, unless somebody's looking into the box, you don't really see inside the box if you have stuff in it. So as far as how much overage and how perfect of a line is, it doesn't make a difference on the inside of the box. We just like it covered in case you have, I decided if I was keeping mason jars in it, you may see some of the inside of the box. That's why I went ahead and covered both. And again, I'm just doing the wood graining bits and tips on the longboards as well. Okay. I really did like this pine contact paper. I made the birch one first, and this pine with the knots just was like just so special. I really did like it. Now, my original plan was to sort of faux whitewash it, but I really liked the way they came out. And I may in the future make one and then whitewash it, honestly. But I really just like the way that they looked with the wood grain. Like I said, I've been contact papering stuff forever. I am a second generation queen of contact paper. My mother actually recovered the white stand-up freezer that we had in our dining room in wood grain contact paper so that it would blend in with the paneling. And boy, did it stand there for a long time. She even did kitchen cabinets when she wanted to change. She really was wonderful and taught me all these tricks. I have been recovering boxes. I actually took contact paper and redid my closet in my old house. I covered the closet rod, I covered the shelf, and then I ended up putting a little border of it around when border papers were in fashion in 1989. So now what we're going to do is plug in your glue gun and we're going to attach it. We're going to nail it together. These nails I found to be the perfect size. So what I'm doing is I'm measuring the width of the board against the side, and I'm marking it with a pencil. And then I'm pushing in the nails. I decided to put in 3 on each short end, and then I'm just lining up. Make sure you have the insides towards the inside, and they so easily, the nails just push straight through. And then I'm detaching them and trying to figure out what I just did. Yeah, okay. And then I'm adding a row of hot glue and reattaching them and putting the nails back in. The nails not only work for the aesthetic of it being real wood, but it also does help give some support to the ends. Then I'm just going to repeat the same 3 more times. As you can see here, I thought it might be easier to do both of the other ends at the same time. So I've inserted all the nails and then the glue. And now as you can see, I am measuring the bottom. You know, the bottom is going to be the same width because it was cut from the same board. And what I'm doing is I'm squaring up the 2 edges on the inside that are away from me, and I'm marking the inside of where to cut it. So you can see there, I've lined the foam with the bottom of the board, and then I measured the other side, and I've drawn a straight line. And then I'm just going to cut against that straight line, and that's how I fit the bottom in. The bottom is going to actually fit inside the 4 walls. Okay, I'm going to use the same glue and nail method as soon as we cover it with our contact paper. So here I am just dry fitting it to make sure it all works. And Eureka, I discovered that if I measured correctly, the contact paper is the perfect width. Yay! I know, I'm so weird. So the same method, I'm just going to peel. I'm not worried about wrapping the ends of this because it's going to be tucked in the wood. I just want to be able to have wood on the inside and the bottom, okay? So same like before, just flip and pull and flip and pull. Okay, and rub that wood. Just kidding. So here we are. And again, it's very forgiving. Like I said, very repositionable. And then you're just going to cut off the edge to fit. I didn't worry about getting the wood grain on the bottom because it's not something you see. And I also didn't worry about the wood graining on the insides of the boards. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I just worried about the outside. But now we're just going to do the same thing. I glued against the one long side first, inserted it in the box. Try to keep mindful of which one's the bottom and which one's the top. And then I flipped it over to the other side. And I pushed the bottom out a little bit, ran glue across it, and then stuck the nails in, just like I did before. And now we're going to work on the handles. We got this leather journal so that we could cut the handles out. I like the leather look of the handles. I also like the rope look of the handles. So you see we use both looks. But what I'm doing is I'm just using the cover to duplicate the rounded corners. So I've just lined up one cover on the other cover, and then I've taken the extra piece and I've done this the whole length of the cover, but then I realized in a little while that it's going to be too long, so we go ahead and cut them down. But here I am taking the colored markers, and I'm trying to figure out which one is closest to the leather color. And it's the inside of the handle, so you're not going to notice it. You would notice it if it was bright white, but you're not going to notice that it's a magic marker colored sort of situation. And I like to color the edges as well. Okay? And as you can see here, yeah, I've decided they're a little too long. I did measure them about 5.5 inches in the end, just so I could let you guys know that's how wide I made the handles, or how long I made the handles. Because I like the handles to bow out a little bit, but not tons. But, you know, to each his own. You guys want a big giant handle? Have a big giant handle. So here I am. I'm doing the same thing when I'm dry fitting with nails. I've decided to put it in the middle. I'm kind of cradling that one center nail in the side. And I thought it would be more secure if it was in the long edges. So I'm doing that. And then just like we did for the sides, dry fit it with the nail. Oh, a little stuck there. There we go. Dry fit it with the nail and then pull the handle off and add the hot glue and then add the handle back. Okay? Just like we did with the sides. All right? Now you can clean up any glue marks as they go along, but again, if this was homemade, you might have wood glue oozing out, you know. But it's your preference. It's your own preference. I just thought that these came out really adorable. And for the other box, which you'll see in the end, but I didn't show in the tutorial, I just took 15 strings of jute and I braided them, and then I cut them in half. Well, I basically braided them 5 and 5, and then I tied knots on the end, and that's how I created the other handle for the other box. So here's the box in antique birch, and I just have those hydrangea thrown in there, and there's that cute little handle. Okay. And then here is the pine one with mason jars in it. I just thought that this came out so darling, and this size is perfect for the large mason jars with room left over. Well, I really hope you guys liked this tutorial. I know I did. That's why I had to run out and get more materials to make it in the pine. If you do, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share with friends and family. Subscribe if you haven't. I'd love for you to join the family. And as always, take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.